was a big day when it comes to the legal battle against Section 377. Many have actually welcomed the government's affidavit that was submitted in the court today, saying, well, it's great, at least the government of India is not opposing homosexuality anymore. Well, I think it's a tad bit disappointing what the government has done today, because all that they have said is that it's up to the wisdom of the Supreme Court. So effectively, the government of India has no stand, no view on decriminalizing homosexuality. That's what it means in 2018. For all those political leaders, especially those in the government and those representing the ruling party who've come out and told us that they are against Section 377, they should be more angry and disappointed today, because the official statement of the government says nothing like that. And I just want to highlight what this affidavit really shows. It's just 3 pages, by the way. 3 pages is all the government had to say on it. Then they began by first highlighting that this affidavit is to place on record the stand of the Union of India. It then goes on to talk about what is the petition that is currently being heard. It then talks about what did the Delhi High Court say and what was the Delhi High Court's ruling on Section 377 a few years ago. It then again refreshes our mind about what the Supreme Court is looking at, and specifies that the only question which is referred for consideration of the larger bench is consensual acts of adults in private. Nothing else. This is the only thing that the Supreme Court is looking at right now. And then it says it's up to the courts to decide on it. But if the courts want to look into any other aspect of the legality revolving homosexuality, then the government will have to think about it and come up with a detailed response. This is their stand, ladies and gentlemen. Union of India would like to file a detailed affidavit in reply, as consideration of other issues would have far-reaching and wide ramifications under various other laws, and also will have consequences which are neither contemplated in reference nor required to be answered by the bench. Why can the government not take a clearer stand and back the LGBTQ community? That's the big question. Let's say good evening to Geeta Bhatt, an academician joining us from Delhi, Jerry Johnson, human rights activist, with me in the studios, along with Harish Iyer. Sushant Divgikar, actor, will be with us soon. But first question, of course, goes to Anila Singh of the BJP. Anila Singh, are you disappointed with this affidavit that says nothing except that if there is anything else legally speaking about homosexuality that you want to ask us, come to us again and we will give you a detailed response.
No, Tanvi, there is nothing to be disappointed, and yesterday also I was on your panel, and it was very well said by a couple of the panelists that we know that what is going to be the decision of the Supreme Court, and it is good that BJP's stand is positive. So definitely you can see by today's outcome that government has said that we are not going to contest, and whatever the decision is being made by the judges of Supreme Court, that will be respected by the government and it will be implemented.
But why is the government
dutifully.
So nervous?
So it is
What are you scared
a positive response.
What are you scared of? Losing a huge vote bank if you come out and say, no, we stand with the community? We want this this law to be struck down right now. Why can't you say that?
No, absolutely not.
Why are you depending on the Supreme Court to do it for you?
Absolutely. No, Tanvi, absolutely not. If a government was scared of anything, or not government is not scared of anyone or anybody. Like government works on the rules and regulations. So if we talk about Bharatiya Janata Party, no, Bharatiya Janata Party is not scared of anything. If there would have been an issue, then definitely BJP would have come very strongly against Section 377.
That's the
but
point,
the ruling government of NDA is very clear. Is very clear that we are not against it, and And the
Right,
judges,
okay.
and the judges are...
So should we give a round of applause to the BJP and the government for not objecting and creating further hurdles?
Not really. To have no view as a party, and you might have a personal view, Anila, but if you look at the photos behind you, there are 3 photos of Prime Minister Modi, who has said nothing about Section 377, Arun Jaitley, who has actually said that he stands for decriminalization, and Yogi Adityanath, who has actually stood for Section 377. So the government has had no view, and if you look at the photos behind you, that by itself shows the diverse range of views which exist in the government. And there are people who have personal views. Your view is in alignment with Arun Jaitley's view, but Yogi Adityanath has openly been homophobic. He has openly said that homosexuals should be jailed. So will you take a stand against those people? Will the government stand for LGBT people, even if it means that it needs to stand against Yogi Adityanath, against Subramaniam Swamy, and also...
I actually don't even know what the BJP president thinks about it. I don't know if Amit Shah has wants to support this.
Also, I mean, let's be clear, Tanvi, the only reason the government did not file an affidavit either in support or against is because it ran out of time. It was not able to file in time. The court asked for an affidavit immediately, and they said they were not ready. They wanted an extension. The court denied them that extension, and they said, okay, we have no time for it. However, notice the language that you pointed out in the opening of this segment. You said that the affidavit very clearly states, this is only about 377 where we do not take a stand. However, if the court decides to extend its jurisprudence beyond 377 into the larger civil liberties and civil rights of the LGBT community, then the government holds the right and reserves the right to come and comment on it and wants to be able to say its views on it. Exactly. Which sounds to me that you are still not comfortable with giving rights. I mean, what is the problem? Why is the government deciding what private citizens should do? We shouldn't be acting on the license and the permission of the government. In fact, it should be the other way around. The government should be acting with the license and permission of the citizens who vote the government into power. So it's complete inversion of power over here. So I think...
Would you want to respond to what both of them are saying right now? Anila Singh, would you want to respond to what Harish and Jerry are saying right now?
Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. Okay, then we see the stand of the government is, though I am not spokesperson of the government, I am BJP spokesperson, but since BJP is the ruling party in the center, I just want to say the stand of the government is very clear. When the government says, like in today's affidavit also, it said that definitely the onus is on the judges, but it mentioned that so far, like Section 377, if it relates to the consensual sex between the 2 adults, like why anybody should have problem?
Where is it saying that?
I mean,
where is it saying that?
Much more.
No, ma'am. It doesn't work when if individual leaders come out and make statements that may please somebody. But I am holding the affidavit in my hand. It's 3 pages. I literally read out what's in every paragraph. We didn't find anything that you are saying here at all. Not even one single word of support.
It basically says that we will not take a stand.
See, Tanvi, no, Tanvi. One thing is very clear. If Bharatiya Janata Party government was, if the government was against 377, like government could have fought the case, but government is very clear that whatever the judgment is being given by the bench of judges, we are going to accept it and get it implemented.
Okay.
And yesterday also, like everybody was very positive, even I'm very positive even today at this moment also, that Section 377 definitely changes will be there in it.
Well, I don't think the one who drafted the affidavit, it's not being politicized at all. Please don't even for a minute suggest that this is political. This is a very, very human issue that we are talking about, and the government today has let down a significant population of its own country. of this country by not taking a clearer stand. You may be catering to a certain other population that you think whose vote also matters to you, but by not taking a stand, what you've effectively done is you've left it for the Supreme Court, because Supreme Court can take the decision, and you can just try and portray this image that we are not against it, so we are for you. It doesn't work like that.
So you're putting question mark on the wisdom of judges?
No, not at all. We are putting a question mark on the wisdom of the government. And we are saying that the government, if you wanted to send a message to the rest of the country that, listen, it is time to move on, to open up our minds and to open up our arms, that you've not done.
We are going to stand.
Of course it is. Of course it is. What are you going to say? What are you saying? You want me to applaud you that you decided to follow what the Supreme Court tells you to do? Otherwise, you were not going to listen to the Supreme Court.
No, I mean... no, this is bizarre, Tanvi. This is bizarre.
Okay, Anila, just one small question. Why couldn't the government come out and say, we stand for decriminalization of homosexuality, consensual adults doing things in private? It is a very basic thing. We don't want the government to play peeping Tom. We don't want the state to play peeping Tom. And it's a very basic thing. And this is what you believe in also. So why was it so difficult for the government to just come and say that, hey, these LGBT people are people, they are our citizens, and we stand with them. This should be decriminalized. They should live their lives with liberty. Yes, the court will take their stand, the courts will take their stand, but we take a stand too.
Yes.
We also stand with them. Okay. So you have actually said that we let the court take the stand, and we will not take a stand. And I'm asking you, because the BJP has still not come out and said, BJP as a whole has not come out and said that we stand for homosexuality or against homosexuality or anything of that kind. Prime Minister Modi has not said a single word. Yogi Adityanath has been homophobic. There is no better way of putting it. He has been homophobic. What will be your message to Yogi Adityanath, who thinks otherwise, who thinks that LGBT people need to be jailed? He has come out with a statement. Could you, on national television, give him an advice of what he needs to do? Should he be speaking the words that he spoke?
Harishi, our country, India, is the land of law, and we follow whatever law tells us to do, whether it is Prime Minister of this country or the Chief Minister of any state, either I or you. So whatever the law is made, whatever the judgment is going to be given by the Supreme Court, it is going to be law. So definitely each and every citizen living in this country has to follow that. So for us,
so for everything we have to go to the Supreme Court. So for everything we have to go to the Supreme Court, because the government of the day is not going to do anything for its citizens, Anila Singh. That's what it sounds like.
I feel that the government doesn't have a spine of its own.
Tanvi, I am telling you, are trying very hard to corner me on this.
No, you are trying very hard to defend a very indefensible stand that has been taken by the government.
Okay, sorry.
That's what you need to say. Leave it on the jurisprudence of the judges.
Of course we will, but that's not the point. That's not why we elected you now. That's not why we elected BJP party to part with overwhelming majority for the Supreme Court to take all the decisions for you. I'm just going to go across to our other panelists right now. Geeta Bhatt, thank you for patiently waiting by.
No, Supreme Court has to take the decision.
What's your view, Geeta Bhatt? Do you think the government should have taken a stronger position?
Supreme Court has to take a decision.
See, Tanvi, in the year 2008, you know, when Section 377 was for hearing in the court, at that time, the Congress-led UPA 1 government, you know what it had submitted? The government had submitted in the court that homosexuality is a social vice, and discriminating it is going to disturb the peace of the society. So from 2008 Congress-led UP government to 2018, where the government has not taken any stand and they has asked the court to decide it, I think, you know, we have come a long way in terms of, you know, how the issue has been dealt by the government. And of course, there has also been a social change in the way the people think about it, the way society thinks about this issue, and also the kind of changes that are taking place in terms of how the LGBT community or the transgender community has to be included as the part of the larger section of the society. In this respect, I would just like to bring in two instances. One is that, for example, this is just for a wider discussion on this topic, that now if you come across the forms that are being submitted in various universities and in state universities, in central universities, where there is an option when you write the gender, they are also giving an option for a transgender. There are institutes, colleges which are providing separate toilets for transgenders. Then the Ministry of Sanitation, it has already, through Swachh Bharat Commission, has already instructed the various states and union territories that they must, allow the transgenders to use various, public toilets. So, I mean, this is just to say that there are changes which are taking place. But however, at the same time, yes, we also have to consider it that the court is taking this subject very seriously, considering that it has been, put in front of a constitution bench.
No, but
and
okay.
Secondly, considering the right to privacy with the judgment, the 7-bench judgment which had come,
yes,
and Article 21, which gives a right to life to all the citizens, I think all of whether men, women, or any other gender, they all have equal rights. But the question, I think, which also needs a discussion, and also from the lawmakers as well as from the civil society and of course the activists of the LGBT community, that while of course whatever two adults consensually decide to do within their personal space, definitely it is totally their right. But while we are talking of giving rights to a particular section of a society, we also have to be cautious and take care that it may not be used, or not used, rather it misused in terms of any non-consensual sex, and especially also in terms of, just let me complete, I waited very patiently, I'll just take 20 seconds more, and also in terms of, abusing the minors in this respect, especially considering that even, boys today, they are getting exposed to a lot of physical abuse. So the discussion has to be a little wider, and we just have to protect, everyone's rights and make everyone safe. That is what I would like to open for discussion.
I know both of you really want to jump in here.
Matters.
Yes,
she's muddling the issues so much.
Sushant Divgikar is also with us. Sushant, so on the larger issue that we started the conversation with, of whether you think the government should have taken a clearer position today, to what Geeta Bhatt is also saying about the larger issue of this this being misused in some fashion. What do you have to say to that?
Can you just repeat the last part of what you said? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Geeta Bhatt is suggesting that if you decriminalize homosexuality and you do away with Section 377, there is also the fear that it may be misused when it comes to non-consensual sex, which I'm assuming she's just talking about rape between homosexuals, and that this will be an issue as well. So, but to the larger question that I am asking our panelists and viewers, why didn't the government take a clearer stand?
And the minors too.
Minus there's POXO.
See, but if you get away with Section 377, what she's talking about is probable cases of rape, which are anyway already probably happening. The thing is, what you're safeguarding the larger community, which is about 2-3 crore people, is by giving them equal rights. So, madam, are you going to try and say that we are going to put something that is similar to Section 377 on straight people? Or on people, heterosexual people, so that we safeguard children and women from rape? I mean, the larger picture is that you have to give people their equal rights. And see, the LGBT community doesn't even feel like they're equal citizens of this country because of a section like Section 377.
Right. So
I think what we need to do is, and of course the government has.
Go ahead, please.
The government has to take a clearer stand, and and not pass the buck. It's very easy to pass the buck, and I think that should have been a clearer stance, is what I have to say.
Yes, absolutely. And just to make it clear, Geeta Bhatt, you have rape laws anti-rape laws,
Child
POXO,
sex abuse.
child sex abuse laws in our country.
Yes, you have so
already.
many rape laws. And this is what I'm saying.
And every day we are talking about tougher laws and
You have
implementation
plenty
of
of
that to
anti-rape
prevent rape.
laws.
And we
And
are
it doesn't
asking for
happen.
decriminalization of homosexuality. We are asking for us to go back to the Delhi High Court judgment, something like the Delhi High Court judgment. Yes, in the absence of a law which protects non-females, Section 377 might come handy. All that we are asking for is decriminalization of consensual sexual behavior between adults in private. That's all that we are asking.
And see, the role, as far as the role of the government is concerned, the role of the government is to protect the rights of all its citizens. So the moment when we have adults whose rights are being infringed upon, the government is already on the wrong side.
Sushant, just 1 minute. Coming to you, let Jerry make his point. Yeah.
So the role of the government is to protect the rights of its citizens. The moment adult citizens of this country feel that their rights are being abridged, the government is already on the wrong side. And therefore, by not taking a side in this affidavit today, what the government is essentially saying that it has been voted into power by the very citizens against whom it chooses not to take a stand upon. So it chooses to stay indifferent to the violation of the rights of the citizens who voted for the government. And what is the role of the government? To protect the rights of its own citizens, which it is now abdicating by the stand that it took today. And so, Ms. Anila, I mean, I really appreciate your thoughts from the panel yesterday and from the conversation today. However, I am wondering, why doesn't the BJP or the government, as an official stand, take a position that says we will protect the rights of all our citizens? It's as simple as that. And why was it not able to do that?
And you know what is the opposite of love? It is not hate, it's indifference. And that's what the government is showing.
It is indifference, exactly. As Harish Iyer said, the government has displayed indifference to the rights of some of its citizens. And it's an inversion of power. I mean, just take a moment to hear this. It is an inversion of power when the government acts with impunity, but the citizens have to beg and plead to the courts for its most fundamental rights. Whereas it should be the other way around, where the government has to act with limits and the citizens are supposed to act with full expanded capabilities of its rights.
Anila Singh, that runs to you.
No, Thanvi, I'm going to repeat what I said in the beginning, that the stand of the government is very clear. And when we, the
stand of the government is that it will follow what the Supreme Court will say.
The government leaves the decision on the judges.
So I think isn't that the stand of the government on every issue?
Thanvi, please.
Isn't that the stand of the government on every issue? Shouldn't that be the stand of the government then when it comes to GST? Shouldn't that be the stand of the government when it comes to Uniform Civil Code? Shouldn't that be the stand of the government when it comes to cow protection?
Oh,
exactly. Now you're talking. So why are you so edgy on Section 377? Why does the government have no view of its own on Section 377?
So strongly and see.
Because in a country like ours, you are
using government like that. I am proud of our government. In the country like us, where
proud of not having a spine to take a stand, for leaving us midway and leaving it on.
If we talk about homosexuality, it's a huge taboo. And here the government is saying we leave it on the.
नहीं, आपको गौ रक्षा समझ में आती है, आपको गे रक्षा समझ में नहीं आती है. ये क्या प्रायोरिटीज है ये सरकार की, मुझे नहीं समझ में आ रही है आज.
Why doesn't the government have a stand? You have a stand for cows, have a stand for gays too.
आप ऐसा क्यों सोच रहे हो कि आप ऐसा क्यों दिखाना चाहते हो तन्वी की सरकार जो है अगेंस्ट है?
क्योंकि मैंने अभी एफिडेविट पढ़ के सुना है, सरकार ने कहीं नहीं लिखा इसमें कि वो सपोर्ट करती है. सरकार ने कहीं नहीं लिखा कि वो सपोर्ट करती है. अनिला सिंह, I think the government is mocking us. The government is mocking the citizens of this country if it thinks that we are going to sit here and applaud the government for not taking a stand. This country and people of this country are not going to be fooled anymore.
Congress did not do anything because
that doesn't
Congress got booted out of power.
You are better than Congress.
Congress got booted out of power. If your comparison, if your benchmark is Congress for everything, then this country is doomed.
Can everyone stop shouting?
Today's government is very clear.
If your benchmark is Congress for everything, then this country is doomed.
You are trying to malign the government.
Sushant.
But I'm telling you, that tomorrow
I don't
you
have
are
to
going
try and malign the
abroad.
government. You all do things yourself to do that. Sushant wanted to make a point. Go ahead, please.
So I was just saying that it is pretty simple. First of all, I think that you guys should like not like shout on top of each other's voices, because I think let's just have like a legitimate debate. I would just say that because I couldn't hear anything that was being said, but I would agree with Jerry when he says what he says. Also, the thing is that like when the government would will conveniently take us like a very clear stance on some issues and then not sort of take a clearer stance on some other issues, it comes across as, it might not be their intention to come across like that, right? But the thing is that it does come across to the masses that we are just like third great citizens of a country, and that is what is probably hurting a lot of people, and this is what exactly the other panelists are trying to say, I think. So the lady that is like kind of going against what Jerry is also saying, for example, and that the opposite of love is indifference, and you can't be indifferent to 2 crore people, you can't be indifferent to even one person in a democracy, right? And so that is, I think
Right. Okay. So here is what happened. Point taken, and I think all of us in the studio agree with you, including Harish and Jerry. I just want to tell our viewers that in June 2014, when the United Nations voted on whether it should treat employees with same-sex spouses on par with employees with opposite-sex spouses, India, under the Modi government, voted against it. Did not abstain, voted against it, just like Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Iran, Syria, Russia, and China. In 2013, that is a stand. They took a stand there. They took a stand there. In 2013, Rajnath Singh said homosexuality was unnatural. If an all-party meeting is called, we will support Section 377. Of course, they were in opposition then. They may have now changed their stand from opposing it to not having a view at all. I can go on to quote, and like Harish was also saying, there have been multiple other leaders who've had different positions. But when it comes to an official position of the government and the ruling party, there is nothing. Now, Geeta Bhatt, do you think this shows that the government has chosen the vote bank of homophobes versus the vote bank of homosexuals?
And allies and families.
See, I think that, there should be no homophobia, first of all. And yes, there could be, we can think it in terms that, there are some of us in the society who have different type of orientations. Now, see, while this is being discussed and is being debated, what is of significance is that the deliberations and the proceedings which are taking place in the court regarding Section 377, whether they are going to be restricted just in terms of, as one of the LGBT activists just said, in terms of freedom of personal space, so between 2 consensual adults, or is it going to go beyond that?
No, that's
and
exactly what it is.
What is a fear? That is the fear which has been, I think, talked about in the affidavit that has been submitted. And why is it so? It is so because, you see, there are a gamut of laws which are being governed under, the people of particular faiths are being governed by under these laws, especially in terms of marriages, divorces, and inheritance. So if the deliberations and the proceedings are going to go beyond this, then we have, there is a very a very large number of laws which are going to get affected, and this will need a much deeper deliberation, arguments, counter arguments to formulate anything.
So do you think
that is the apprehension that has been listed in the affidavit.
Okay, good question, good point. You've raised a very interesting point. Now, Anila Singh, explain to us this. As has been made clear by the court, by everybody who's linked to the case and the government, right now the court is only looking at consensual sex between 2 people in their own private space. That's the aspect they're exploring. The government in its affidavit says, if you need to go beyond this, then ask us, we'll need to deliberate, think about it, give you a more detailed reply. So why doesn't the government take up that issue and formulate its policies and change its laws in the parliament? They are not bound by the Supreme Court for that. Why don't you do it if you so much feel for homosexuals?
Tanvi, today government has submitted its stand on Section 377. Now,
That
it
is
won't be
no stand.
correct on my part to speculate anything. I think we should wait for the judgment to come out.
Do you think the BJP party should initiate this in the parliament? You are a spokesperson of the BJP party. You also have majority in Lok Sabha and you're gaining numbers in Rajya Sabha as well.
Tanvi, I think, no.
Do you think this should be discussed?
I think we should wait for the judgment to come out. There is nothing to worry about.
Ma'am, this has nothing to do with the judgment because the case is not the same.
I don't think that we need to have a legislation on that.
Why not? Then how are you going to bring about a change? Are you going to wait for Geeta Bhatt for Supreme Court to come and do this?
Why do you discuss other issues
I just want
then?
to say one
Let's
thing
not
here.
discuss
No,
anything
see,
in
you
the
don't-
parliament.
So why do we...
Why do you need a cow protection bill?
Why do we need to go for a legislation on this? Because there already we have, already in terms of fundamental rights, and especially I mentioned the judgment which has come for right of privacy, and the under the fundamental rights which are already there in the Constitution, it can be covered by that. I don't think there is any need of going into legislation into that. I mean, because see, the fact remains, Tanvi, that at the end of the day, the representatives who are there, in the parliament, they have to go back to their constituencies. So, I mean, this is something which we all should accept. This is a fact. I mean, this is a fact. There is nothing that we need to shy away from.
But Anila ji is not accepting it.
What is important, it is what is being questioned. What is being questioned is that the people should get their personal space. And as long as that is being, if that is what is being deliberated and is being discussed in the court, and as it seems that court has got a very favorable view on that, I don't think there is any need of going into legislation for this.
No, of course not in legislation for this. I meant for other issues. There's obviously your fight today, right now, in court is for your privacy and your right to privacy, but it will go beyond that, Harish, and that government should take this up themselves.
We will not settle for anything other than equal rights. Probably this is our first step towards it, but we will have, if you can come with your spouses and can flaunt your heterosexuality in marriages, in Namkaran ceremonies, we will come with our spouses and we will have that too. It's a matter of time for sure. Just as we are accepting your heterosexuality, you will have to accept our homosexuality, and we will fight for the same rights. We will have our same rights in this country because our country and the constitution of our nation doesn't discriminate. The discrimination that is spread is by people of our nation, by the parties, the political class and the political class of our nation.
But do you expect any support from the Netas, Jerry, whether it was Congress earlier or BJP now? Do you think in this fight they're ever going to support you?
See, I mean, we don't even want to look for the support of any Netas. The point is that in a constitutional democracy, rights do not depend on the whims and fancies of Netas and the wind of the moment. And I think Ms. Geeta Bhatt doesn't understand how a constitutional democracy works. In a constitutional democracy, the majority doesn't get to vote on the rights of the minority. It just does not happen, which is why this law is being scrutinized under constitutional violation at the Supreme Court level, because it violates the fundamental right of what a constitution is supposed to guarantee the rights of every individual. And an individual is the smallest minority. So guaranteeing the rights of every individual against the whims, the cultures, and the notions of the majority is what is the purpose of a constitution. Yeah. So we don't need legislation, but at the same time, we do not need to deliberate upon the various other repercussions of what this law of reading down 377 or repealing 377 will do. We don't have to worry about it. The fact is, the majority has no say on the rights of the minority, and that is what the court, I am hopeful, will come out and say.
All right, completely out of time, but the battle is far from over. The battle has just begun. A huge amount of hopes that the top court is going to strike down on this law and just do away with it completely, and we're just hoping for that, because obviously governments of the day now and earlier have not come out and helped us. But I'm truly disappointed, and it's appalling that the BJP and the government actually believes that we should come out and applaud them for not taking a stand, or that they want us to call it softening of a stand. No, it doesn't matter if you're softening your stand when you don't have a view to right give in written to either the court or to the world. The world is watching what government of India does, and indifference is a stand is what we are being told, and I agree. That is what you've done. This Modi government has gone to the court and said, we are indifferent, you tell us, we will do that, exactly that, because no more and no less, we don't really care about it. Or you thought that it's a very smart move where any which way Supreme Court is going to take a decision, so why should you take a stand at all? You please both sides, you get away with it. That's not what the governments do. They send a message to the world, they send a message to the country that this is what we stand for, that we are in support of the LGBT community and their rights. We support equal rights, and we will do that. That's what you should have done. If you claim to move with times, if you claim to understand every single citizen and the sentiments of your country, that's what you should have done. But there is still time. Please come out and take a clear stand. And if you don't, and if you can't support the LGBT community, then say so. Have the courage to say so. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.